So, good morning everybody. Francisco, visual designer here at Eden House. And I want to talk you through this project I've done recently with Mark Daniels for wemake. It was really interesting, really fun, and I learned a lot, and I'd like to share it with the studio.
Okay, I'm listening by the way.
Cool. So if you don't know what wemake is, it's our Wednesday meet-up where people in the whole building really come together and talk about technology, learn about new technology stuff like 3D printing and electronics, and then we also have our own projects like chatbot for Alzheimer's and alternative payment for homeless. So we all come together, talk about technology and talk about solutions for problems. So this is kind of where I started. It was a few weeks ago when Mark sent out his first email, and I seen it and I knew that there was a lot that I could improve on and that could be taken with wemake, but there was also a lot to learn from this initial graphic. For example, like the tea stains and the sellotape, you could tell that this is something about not being afraid to make mistakes and get your hands dirty and make things. So where I really started was here and looked deeper into the wemake and what it meant. So I started here where I looked deeply into wemake and what it means, and beyond just what you think, and it's all about people coming together, and it's all about everyday objects, and it's unique in its being physical. You're not just making things in a computer sort of thing. And the key thing that Mark told me was to think about was duality. So the we make is the creatives and technologists coming together. And I thought when I thought about that, it's this could work in two ways. It could be really harmonious, like the puzzle, two things that always meant to be together, and in beautiful shapes that work together and patterns that fit nicely and colours that meet well with each other. Or it could be really contrasting in a sort of Albert Einstein way, they weren't meant to be together but interesting things come out, and that could be opposing colours and opposing fonts and stuff like that. So the four themes that I pulled out was human, real, solutions and unorthodox. So in human, if it was it's like thinking if wemake was this extreme brand. So if it was really human, it would be all these textures and handwritten fonts and all about the people, and would be really fun and you want to join. When it's looking at it as solutions, it's thinking about the end product of what these things are doing, and more technical and more mathematic, these shapes that come together to make a W and an M, and it's a bit more clever. When it's real, it's really tangible. This is stuff that I made in my sketchbook, by the way, so stuck in real materials, paper and string. And if it's unorthodox, it's more in that Albert Einstein random experiments that come together to make something cool. So when I came to thinking about the logo, we kind of liked the puzzle idea of two shapes coming together, and we had some more drawings in our meeting, and we just wanted something more interesting than the puzzle shape, and it's told to look at negative space and shapes that will come to make something interesting. And I struggled at the beginning, but something that helped me a lot was one day when I was on the train to work, I suddenly started to look around and see W's and M's everywhere and loads of shapes that could make a logo. So the shape of the Gherkin building is a W and an M, or these triangle patterns on the sewer, this Petticoat Lane sign you see all the time. You don't really notice it, but it's all kind of interesting. The road signs, they all come together to make marks. And one thing I found quite funny was this one, which is a giant W and an M. So then when I was at work, I started to make marks on my book, and looking at the shadows of things, shadows, and putting shapes together with felt tips, and then seeing where the negative space makes an interesting shape. And then we chose three main routes. There's this one which is triangles, and four different triangles coming together, and there's a W and an M there, and in the middle is where the wemake special stuff happens. There's this one where it's make being the solid thing that people have made, and the we being like graffitied over, and it's all really fun and like coming together. And the final one, which was more in the like unorthodox side, where it's like all these different shapes that don't make sense, but they come together in the middle to make we make. And this is the one we went with. And I then made like different executions of it. I was like playing with like crayons, different, and like paper, sticking stuff together, and felt tips. And the color choices here were like different ends of the color wheel, like orange and blue, purple and yellow, and green and red. And then in the end we took these marks and like vectored them, and then played with different colors and played with different like layouts, and came up with a final logo with final colors, taking the most strongest principal colors of cyan and magenta, and pulling out the logo to make these different marks, and seeing like how interesting we could make just with those, with the logos assets and the shapes, and making patterns and going bold. In the end we went for these as like the introduction posters. Like the idea behind them is the world of shapes, and in the middle they come to make the we make, and these brush marks that just touch the paper, and that's where the photography is held. The like future posters, I want them to be really fun and free, and kind of play with the shapes and colours, but make new ones with overlays and things like that, and just be quite fun and stand out in the office. And it would be good to like take this into digital and make a little blog, Tumblr blog, that we can share what we're learning. It would be cool to make stationery. I like the pattern and the envelope pattern, that would be kind of sick. T-shirts would be nice, and taking the original, the W and M, and just playing with them, maybe making like different tribal signs for different teams. And like in the future, let's say we design something epic, you could see how that logo works. Maybe it's like a sticker, or maybe it's like these LED light type things, or maybe we could take over the studio and have a little area of we make, or even take over a little building. See how that would work. And yeah, it's going well so far. We met up in the Hackney Makers shop, which was cool. We had our first meet up where we had loads of ideas, and chose our 3 main ideas to go through as a group, and learn about electronics in our last one. And we have like 3 main topics that we discuss as a group. There's the Tupperware idea, looking at packaging and other parts of like the building, and how we can how we can use technology to save money, save the environment sort of thing. And Outpay, where we're looking at a smarter way to give money to the homeless without handing over any cash. And then an Alzheimer's chatbot, where we're looking at seeing how the chatbot technology can help Alzheimer's sufferers. And yeah, it was really fun working on the project. It's really fun being part of the we make stuff, kind of opened my eyes beyond how you work in Sapien. I've met loads of people in the building that I've never spoken to, and Razorfish people and people in Glass Mill. It's been really fun to be a part of, so I think you should come to a next one. And if you want to help make posters and stuff, that'd be awesome.